When you end up playing with food, especially natural food, and really playing with how you could recreate it and changing this one thing into something completely different with a whole different flavor profile, to me that is super exciting. What helped me was not only giving up things slowly, but also creating it in a way where it was still familiar to me and in a way that I could enjoy it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 American type style dishes that you can literally make in a healthier way, whether you choose to eat more plant-based or not. These are 5 different American style dishes that many people tend to love and different ways that you can make them in a healthier way. The first one is burgers. So I was never really a meat person, but I still had those type of cravings because I was used to like that heaviness. So one thing to do is just switch out the different types of buns that you're using. So if you're using like that potato bread bun, I know it's very good. It is really, really good. But switching to a whole wheat bun just offers more nutrients in it. Another thing to do when it comes to burgers is swapping out the meat for a mushroom burger. So there's definitely different types of burger alternatives that you can have. You could have a plant-based meat, you could have a mushroom burger, you could have a bean burger, you could have a beet burger. All of them are pretty good, but if you're someone who is very meat heavy, one thing to swap is to just try a mushroom burger or try a burger with mushrooms, so that way you're having an added nutrient and you're learning the flavor profile of a mushroom. Another thing to try is having a portobello burger, because it'll still give you that juiciness and it'll still give you that type of flavor and that little messiness that we all like from burgers, instead of having a bean burger or like a beet burger. So when it comes to burgers, pinpoint which one you want to do, whether you want to reduce the meat, reduce the cheese, or change out the bread. Find 1 or 2 things to change out or swap out, and that will instantly make your burgers healthier. The second one is French fries. I think when we look at French fries, we're like, oh, they're potatoes, they're healthy, but we're not paying attention to how they're being cooked. And when they're being cooked in a high amount of oil, that is really harmful for our bodies. So one thing that I definitely suggest is make it yourself instead of buying the bag version. I used to actually get the bag version from Costco just because I didn't feel like doing all that cutting and chopping and stuff. But I didn't realize when I looked at the ingredients that number one, it has salt in it already, and I think when you already have salt in the food, it makes it harder for you to control the amount of salt that you're intaking. And also it also has other ingredients in it. I'm guessing it's to be able to preserve it, but there's also other ingredients added to the fries, and you're not really knowing how that's affecting your body. So one thing to do is either make your own fries at home, pick up your own potatoes, and either air fry them, or if you decide to cook them in oil, be mindful of how much oil you use. I also think it makes you aware of how much oil it takes to make those type of fries. It makes you more conscious of if you want to actually use that much oil, and you're more mindful of what type of oils to use. Or having sweet potato fries as a way of having more nutrients but still having fries in the end. Number 3 is pizza. I'm not a big pizza person. I was never really a big pizza person, but I remember having a time when I really wanted to make my own pizzas just because I didn't really care for buying it at the pizza place because of all the oil that I would see on it. So I started making my own pizza, and what I would do is just get the dough from the Dollar Tree and get some little sausage and get some broccoli and make the pizza myself. But as I went more plant-based, what I would do instead was use mushrooms and broccoli, and then just get an alternative type of dough, or just look for a healthier type of dough. So one thing that you can do if you're someone who really enjoys pizza is buy all of the ingredients separate and make your own. Number 1, it makes you more aware of what's going on your pizza and how much oil you're putting on it. Number 2, it makes you more aware of the type of sauce, especially because a lot of sauces tend to have a lot of sodium in it, or they can have a lot of sugar in it. So when you're more mindful of the type of sauce that you're picking up, pick up one that either has a low amount of sodium or or very minimum ingredients. So I try to look for one that probably has no more than 5 ingredients, and also look for one that has low sodium. And then when it comes to toppings, you could really play around with adding more vegetables to it. So if you want to reduce your meat, you could add mushrooms, or you could add some broccoli, some kale, and then it allows you to get those different types of vegetables in without having them in a boring way. Next one up is fried chicken. I never liked fried chicken. It was never something that I enjoyed. But if you're someone who likes fried chicken, I actually ran across a recipe. It baffled my mind because I was like, that is so smart. And it was a recipe to where she didn't use any flour and she didn't use any oil. And the chicken came out crispy. And basically what happens is the chicken is being cooked in its own oil. So all this time of making fried chicken, we're putting it in the flour, and then we're pouring a whole bunch of oil in a deep pan and then deep frying it. There was a healthier way of having it all along. So if you're someone who really likes fried chicken, I'll link the recipe below. I definitely highly suggest trying it out because it honestly looks like it's really good. A lot of the comments really enjoyed it, families really enjoyed it, and I think it's a much healthier recipe when you don't have to add extra things to it in order to have the same result. And another way of having a healthier version of fried chicken is not necessarily fried chicken, but a plant-based version is to have cauliflower fried chicken. Anytime me and my boyfriend go somewhere and there's cauliflower chicken on the menu, that is something that is like predetermined for us to get, because although I was never a fan of fried chicken, cauliflower chicken is just really, really good. And it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, it may not be the healthiest because it has breaded stuff around it, but it's still a better alternative, and you're still having some type of vegetable in the end. And there's different ways that people end up making cauliflower fried chicken. Like when I first made cauliflower chicken, I had a lot of breaded around it, and it was a way for me to still enjoy that crispiness and that fried chicken type of look, but still having it where there's a vegetable instead of meat. And maybe that's something that you have to transition to first if you want to transition out of eating meat, and then eventually go to where like you're air frying it, or you're only dipping the head in the flour and you're just making it in a different and a healthier way. So if you're someone who really likes fried chicken, either try out the recipe below where she doesn't use any flour, she doesn't use any oil, and the chicken basically cooks in its own grease, or you could try an alternative of a plant-based and make more of cauliflower fried chicken. If you've never had cauliflower chicken, please do not sleep on it. It is very, very, very good. And the last one is hot dogs. That was honestly one of my favorites, but as I, of course, learned more about like food and learned more about processed food and learned what hot dogs actually consist of, it kind of turned me off of ever having it. So one thing that I really wanted to do was still find a way of having that type of meal without having hot dogs itself. And one thing that I did when I first had transitioned to plant-based was I made carrot hot dogs. Now, of course, it's really not going to taste like an actual hot dog, but the taste is pretty similar. Now, the cooking time is a little longer and there's a lot more things to do, but I just feel like when you end up playing with food, especially natural food, and really playing with how you can recreate it and changing this one thing into something completely different with a whole different flavor profile, to me that is super exciting, especially because that's what a hot dog is anyway. So if you're someone who wants to reduce the amount of processed foods that you're eating, an alternative to try is making carrot hot dogs. So those are my 5 ways of making popular American dishes healthier. Let me know which one you plan on trying and how it worked out for you if you've already implemented one of these, and which one you feel may be your favorite. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.